My name is Katia Prince, and this is a reflection on HE547 online instruction. The purpose of this presentation is to basically share some of my key takeaways from this class, and they were social presence, Web 2.0 tools, and appropriate use of media. When it comes to social presence, it's one of the most significant factors in improving instructional effectiveness and building a sense of community within the online teaching environment. We used Web 2.0 tools to create our social presence. One of the most powerful things that we did was creating an avatar that mimicked our actual self-image so that we can better establish our social presence within the class. Also, we use Web 2.0 technology to create our profile and bio, and this too was a very powerful way to establish our social presence. We then learned about Web 2.0 tools and what they were in comparison to Web 1.0 tools. I found out that Web 2.0 tools are really a great way to engage the virtual classroom using visuals and voice, as I am doing right now. However, instructions have to be careful when they're planning which Web 2.0 tools to use in their classroom. More importantly, the instructors should not modify any existing assignments to make the best use of the Web 2.0 tools available, instead of creating new assignments to use the Web 2.0 tools. For example, when I was doing my wiki on designing my freshman orientation class, I found that it was easier to just come up with the course objective and learning outcomes and then tailoring them to increase presence rather than figuring out which Web 2.0 tool to use and then designing an assignment around that particular tool. Lastly, I learned with Web 2.0 tools that it's very important for instructors not to view the online classroom as a platform to experiment with every single available Web 2.0 tools simply because the Web 2.0 tools have been linked to learning outcomes. So I took away a few best practices. First and foremost, keeping instructional objectives in mind. More importantly is learning which tool is really going to realize the learning objective. There are so many tools out there, so it's essential for the instructor not to certainly use whatever tool is most popular or is a lot more fun and engaging, but rather the best one that's really going to realize the learning objectives. It's really important to be sensitive to the level of prior knowledge of the learners. A lot of individuals are not comfortable using technology, so as an instructor it's really important to be mindful of the fact that not everyone is a techie and to have tools available for them to learn about the actual technology. And of course, you don't want to overstimulate with Web 2.0 technology. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of technology out there. As I went through the wiki on the page course, I was overwhelmed just looking at all of the technology that was available. So I know that it's extremely important that when I am designing my classroom and I am doing my learning objectives, that it's really important not to overuse the Web 2.0 technologies. We then moved on to multimedia presentations. In terms of multimedia presentations, obviously visuals do make a difference in learning. They keep the learner engaged, but there are appropriate use of multimedia that has to be kept in mind so that learning is not actually, so that we don't actually hurt learning rather than improving it. Some of the rules to consider, we learned them in terms of the media principles that we covered, things like the multimedia principle, the contiguity principle, the modality principle, the redundancy principle, and lastly, the coherence principle. This particular one resonated with me a lot, the coherence principle that is, because I was accustomed to using extras when I was doing my presentations. And of course, I realized that anything that's not truly related to the learning outcome can actually hurt the learning. So again, this particular media principle resonated with me. Overall, I found the course to be very engaging. I really truly enjoyed it. The social presence and tone was set by the first assignment of creating our avatar, and I really enjoyed that task. It was fun and very educational because I learned creative ways to help students connect with each other and discover new technology. The assignments that we did on the Web 2.0 technology and the principles about multimedia presentations were fabulous. Once again, I learned technology and principles that I was not familiar with. The assignments were interactive, informative, and kept me engaged. What was exciting was the bio and profile assignment. I love that we were given free rein on what to present. I actually reviewed every single classmate's presentation, and I felt connected. So even though this was fun, exciting, and informative, it was still a challenging experience as well. But the course load was well balanced, and I never felt completely overwhelmed at any time. Overall, this course really made me realize the complexities in effectively engaging students in an online course. So I highly respect Dr. Cardenas for the wonderful job she did in making this course engaging and fun, while still realizing the learning outcomes. This certainly took a lot of planning and time. So thank you, Dr. Cardenas, for a great learning experience.